Is Jackson Arnold ready? Coming up next on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen of the day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On College Football Podcast. Spencer McLaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron with discussion on the upcoming season and the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, including conference realignment, the transfer portal, NIL, new college football expanded playoffs, and more. Locked On College Football is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Jay, it's been an encouraging first week for one Jackson Arnold in fall camp. The tools are there. Everything looks to be heading in the right direction for him. What did Brent Venables have to say about him? Well, it sounds like the execution is exactly where Brent Venables wants it to be for a guy like Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, he mentioned that even with the decision-making piece, right? He says that he feels like it's where it's gotten better. And I've heard some people kind of seeing some message boards and on social media kind of get a little nervous about that. But you have to understand, they're throwing the kitchen sink at the kid. So the decisions are not going to be easy for him to make right now because he's learning against a very quote-unquote new defense, yet it's the same. And for him, it's going to be all about making sure that he just continues to make the right decision, in which we know he will, right? That's not something that we're concerned about when it comes to that. So the most important thing for Jackson Arnold is to make sure he didn't make the wrong decision at the wrong times later in the season. Right now, it's all about just learning. And I love that he's learning.
Yeah, we're not going to overrate interceptions in fall camp. Same thing I'm not going to do in NFL training camp and get too excited about interceptions, because not only is it a learning process in training camp and fall camp, but it's also a time to experiment a little bit. Like, this is the opportunity to figure out what can you get away with. Because when it comes to the regular season, you're not going to take those same risks that you might take in fall camp, in a practice. You know, when you're trying to go down the seam to a Bauer Sharp and he's in double coverage with Peyton Bowen and Kenai Walker, maybe you're going to try and throw that ball and see what Bauer Sharp's going to be able to do in that situation. Well, Peyton Bowen makes a nice one-handed interception. So maybe you're thinking, okay, maybe during the regular season, I'm not going to throw that ball when Bauer Sharp's double covered. But in fall camp, that's when you kind of want to give guys an opportunity to go make a play and see what you're going to be able to work with. So as we get ready for season one with Jackson Arnold, how are you feeling at this point? Are you on a scale of 0 to 10, let's say, how confident are you in where Arnold is at this point?
Honestly, if I was to be a realist in this, I'm about 7.5. Now, I say I'm 7.5 because I'm ready to see what type of mistakes he's going to make. He's a true sophomore. He's going to make mistakes, right? And a couple of buddies of mine, we were talking about this, and I kind of made mention, I believe he's going to throw double-digit interceptions this season. Now, that's not a bad thing, right? Because I think it's going to be because he's going to be aggressive, right? You're going to see some deep passes, which will be, if they do get intercepted, that's technically a punt, right? If you do it on 3rd and 13 and you go deep and try to score and they get the interception really deep, yeah, you just punted the ball 40 yards. That's something that you don't really get upset about. I just don't want to make sure there's not passes across the middle that shouldn't have been thrown, or, you know, throwing a screen pass to the wide receiver gets picked in return for an interception, you know, a la Kansas. I want to see him push the ball down the field. So I'm pretty confident about that. But let me ask you this. There was someone that tweeted at me this. It's a pretty good question. Who do you think is going to be, not only who do you think is going to be the backup quarterback, but who do you think is going to be a more influential teacher this coming season, Casey Thompson or Seth LR?
Well, you know, Seth LR has worked with Jackson Arnold now going on his second year. Mm-hmm. So Seth LR was an offensive analyst under Jeff Lebby in the 2023 calendar year, made that transition to co-offensive coordinator with Joe John Finley a little bit more seamless. So Jackson Arnold, Seth LR, they already have that rapport. Having a guy like Casey Thompson as a backup, even if he's not your primary backup, that matters. Having a dude that has played a lot of big-time football, played at Texas, a lot of big games at Texas, played at Nebraska, a lot of big games at Nebraska, played at FAU. So he's seen probably as much as one guy can see going from the Big 12 to the Big 10 to whatever conference FAU is in at this point. You've seen a lot of different defenses. You've seen a lot of different looks. And so as those guys are in the film room and they're breaking tape down, his experience is going to be able to help inform Jackson Arnold. And so that's going to matter. Now, as far as a teacher goes, I mean, I think you could say both guys are going to have significant influence on Jackson Arnold. Now, for the backup quarterback question, that's going to be intriguing to watch, because if you need a backup quarterback for a half, it's going to be Casey Thompson to me.
Yep.
You're going to bring in the veteran that's able to jump into the fray and execute the offense, and going to have the trust of the offensive coordinator, the head coach, and all that. But if you're talking to me about somebody that you need for 3 or 4 games or a half of a season, God forbid, then I would be going with Michael Hawkins. Because if I've already lost Jackson Arnold, again, God forbid, not speaking this into existence, if for some reason I need a quarterback for 5 or 6 games and it's not going to be Jackson Arnold, I'm ready to see what Michael Hawkins can do for me. The dude is athletic enough. He's fast enough. He's got a big arm. He's a really, really good, promising young quarterback. I want to see what I've got in this kid. Casey Thompson, hey, all power to you. Respect, nothing but. But I need to know what I've got in Michael Hawkins, and to a little bit lesser extent, Brendan Zurbrugg as well, because it's, again, a developmental game.
Right. Your bigger question is going to be who's going to be healthy, right? Because with Casey, he's coming off the knee injury from when he was at Florida Atlantic, and he got hurt in the game at Clemson, right? So, like you said, he's played at some big-time stadiums. I mean, he beat Iowa at their house his last game at Nebraska. And so he's played in some big-time games, played in some big-time stadiums, and had the opportunity to be adjusted. And so that when that question was asked, I was like, that's fascinating, because, yes, he's going to be able to pull in the experience of dealing with that stuff. And that's going to be good ways to help kind of temper down what, the tendencies that Jackson Arnold could potentially show, right? The excitement, the happy feet, the need to make the right decision. But outside, like you said, when you go to the second quarterback, it's gonna have to probably be either Casey or Michael Hawkins. But I would probably prefer Michael Hawkins, bring the young guy in. And it's mainly because we know that they're all being forged in fire right now defensively. I keep repeating it, but that's the thing about it. That's how Brent Venables coaches, right? And I know Zach Galli's probably the exact same way. He's going against Seth LR as if they're in an actual game, and he wants to beat them. And in a lot of situations, you've seen some of the propaganda already been put out. Jackson Arnold's hitting Deion Burks deep on a regular basis, right? But he's also going deep to other players, and then defenders are coming across the top. So the question is going to be, which one of these guys, it's going to be Casey Thompson, or is it going to be Seth LR that's going to be able to help Jackson with, when it comes to the read, making that decision, the right decision that's not going to lead to a turnover. I honestly think that Casey's going to be really influential on that side, but it's probably still going to be heavily on Seth LR.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what you were talking about earlier as far as interceptions. Man, I think if there's double-digit interceptions, it's not a great year for Jackson Arnold. Like, it's kind of disappointing. I need to see that he learned from the 4 turnovers against Arizona. Is he going to throw picks? Yeah. Every quarterback throws interceptions. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's part of the game. But I want to, and again, context does matter, as you mentioned, but I want to see him find that good balance of taking a risk and also just being able to see the defense well. And if he does that, then I'm not concerned about the interceptions. I'm not concerned about what Jackson Arnold's going to do. I really think he's going to have a big year on the 0 to 10 confidence scale. I mean, I'm 9 out of 10, okay. Jackson Arnold homer, fully admit it. I think the dude's got as much talent as any quarterback that's come through Oklahoma in the last 25 years. So
I love it.
I mean, give me JA all day. I think he's going to be a big time player for Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners are not one of the favorites to win the SEC. They're sitting there with the 9th best odds to win the conference, according to FanDuel, behind teams like Georgia, Texas, Bama, Ole Miss, LSU, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Missouri. Well, hey, the sports aren't sporting like we want them to, Jay, but FanDuel has got a deal going for everybody this summer. They keep the sports going whenever you want. All you got to do is open the app, dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood or you're in the mood. They've got a booster, a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. They're an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. So head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. Jay, what do you make of Oklahoma in that 9th spot in the conference odds?
I mean, that's a juicy number, right? And if Oklahoma finds a way to get up there and win that, I mean, that's a profit that I would gladly throw a few dollars on just in case. Because as high as we are on Oklahoma, FanDuel is starting to see, those numbers have been changing a little bit here and there because they understand that the bettors are seeing Oklahoma may have a chance. So if you get opportunity, go ahead and jump on FanDuel, take advantage of it, and hit that number because it's worth putting about $10 on it at least.
Yeah, right now Oklahoma plus 2,700. You put $10 on that, you get $270 back. If Oklahoma wins the SEC, again, go to FanDuel.com to make every moment more. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.